now, the host of Aaron's Hour, Aaron Phillips.
Hey everybody, welcome to a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Yeah, I know it's April Fool's Day, but you know what? We ain't fooling around here. I'll tell you what, because I got another show that is hot with guests today, and you're not going to want to miss it. First of all, let me thank everybody for tuning in. If you're watching us right now on Facebook, thank you so very much. However, if you like YouTube, that's okay. You can go to the Aaron's Hour Show YouTube channel, WWDBTV YouTube channel. Listen, I know it's noontime here, 3 p.m. East Coast. You got to run to soccer games, food shopping, whatever. Download the WWDBTV app to your Android phone or WWDBTV LV to your iPhones. Better yet, call us, call me, talk to me. You'll talk to my guest, 702-992-3207. And if you don't watch the show live, my first question would be, why not? That's okay. The beauty of what we do here, you can go back to any of the Facebook pages, YouTube pages to watch it. And if you have Roku, just download the WWDB-TV channel. Check out the plentiful shows that are on. That's an inside joke. Many of the shows that are there, especially this show and all the other shows, you'll enjoy and you'll find something that you like. 702-992-3207. First and foremost, my first guest, which I'll officially bring on the camera here momentarily, but we're going to open it up with my usual segment of Vegas Unwrapped 2.0. I have no headlines because I've got a lot of great guests we're going to get to. My guest is Jay Rankin. He'll be up right after this intro.
With a nod to the past and an eye to the future, here is Aaron Phillips with Vegas Unwrapped 2.0.
All right, welcome back. Listen, it is great to introduce a longtime friend, author of one of the best books I've ever read, and trust me, I do read a couple of books that are bigger than comic books. Let me introduce right now the author of Under the Neon Sky, a Las Vegas doorman story written by my friend, Jay Rankin. Jay, how are you, bud?
I'm good, Aaron. How are you?
Did you notice that little montage who else I had in there?
I'm getting old, Aaron. No, it went right by me.
Oh, okay. Well, it was an intro with Ricky in it. I thought you'd appreciate that.
Oh, man, I miss Ricky still. I'm sure you do, too.
Oh, absolutely. Now, joining me here in studio, and I'm going to retitle today's show, Beauty and the Beasts, and I hope you don't take any offense to that. My special in-studio co-host today, everybody knows her in Vegas and around the country and probably beyond because she's that great a performer. She's a singer, entertainer. Please welcome to Aaron's Hour, Sandy Knights. Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm great.
So good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a while.
It has been a while. It has been a moment since I last saw you as a potato. Sorry,
Oh, wow.
Little Snapchat humor there for the last time we were together on the show. The old studio used to Snapchat people with crazy stuff, and she was a great sport that day. Anyway, listen, thank you. She's my guest host today because I need somebody to pretty up the set because God knows it ain't going to be me. We're going to get to Sandy specifically a little later, but Jay, this time is all about you, my friend. And, I was thinking about, do you remember, I think I know the answer, but do you remember how or who put us together for the very first time?
Was he a mobster?
Close. Someone who used to write about mobsters. Former policeman from New York.
Denny Griffith.
That's right. Denny Griffith, may he rest in peace. Also, unfortunately, we lost him a few years ago. But Denny Griffith was a former police officer in upstate New York, but he got into being an author. And his whole series of books was writing about mobsters. Frank Culotta. That was his big one, wasn't it? He wrote a lot about Frank Culotta and the Hole in the Wall gang, right?
Hole in the Wall gang. That was his
right. That was his bread and butter.
And then
what's that?
He hung his hat on that story.
Oh, absolutely. So one day Ricky and I get a call from this Denny Griffin. He says, hey, I got this other author. You might want to meet him. I think you'll like him. And his name is Jay Rankin. It tells us about the book. And we have a picture that I'm going to ask. There you go. This was the first time. Oh, my God. Look at me when I was 300,000 pounds. And Ricky Cash on the left side there. We had already spoken to Jay numerous times, and he was in town at the Green Valley Ranch. And Ricky and I drove down to have dinner with him, and the three of us just hit it off. It was the first time we met in person. And boy, I don't even recognize myself in that picture. Holy cow. It's like, who is that guy on the right? Anyway, so that was the first time we met Jay. That's what, about 12 years ago, roughly? I was trying to calculate how long ago.
At least.
At least 12, right?
Yeah, it was a lifetime ago.
It certainly seems like it, doesn't it?
By Vegas years, it was a lifetime ago.
Vegas years. So 12 normal years is how many years in Vegas years? About 120?
I think Vegas years are 1 year now. It used to be 50.
Oh,
And now you don't recognize the place after a year. So
that is true. I mean, I've been here almost 25 years. Sandy is what, 7 years from Sacramento?
Yep.
I mean, even in the shorter window that she's been here, you've got to have seen a lot of tremendous changes.
It's unbelievable
Right?
how much has changed.
It's just nuts. John, can you raise the volume on the internal speaker here so I can hear Jay a little bit better, please?
Oh, sure.
So the book Under the Neon Sky, Las Vegas Doorman Story, as I was telling Sandy, the story, before we get into talking about Vegas and what you experienced being a doorman and sharing stories, that was the night that Mike Tyson decided to have a little ear for dinner in the middle of a boxing match. Am I correct in that?
you are. But there's even a story behind that because Holyfield was headbutting him. And at the time, he was complaining to the ref, he's headbutting me. And finally, Holyfield opened up Tyson's eye. And that's when Tyson went back to his street instincts and just bit his ear off.
Yeah. So, I mean, I remember. Do you remember that match?
I do remember it too.
Did you watch it?
Yes.
I think everybody was glued to that because of the people that were in the match, right? As the main event.
It was huge.
So now here you are. You're a doorman at the MGM. This thing happens. Explain to the audience from your perspective at the door of the MGM what you saw, what you thought was going on. Talk about that.
That's a tough one to answer without my getting long-winded. But when you have certain events, Rolling Stones, Barbra Streisand, Ice Capades, even conventions, CES, Magic, everything changes.
Sure.
The NFR, the National Rodeo Finals, where the food, the entertainment, and certainly the culture of Las Vegas changes completely. So you go from Ice Capade family stuff to a Mike Tyson boxing event, which brings East Coast, West Coast Crips. It brings a whole different culture of people in. There aren't even enough rooms. The fights were our biggest nights in terms of everybody getting picked. Everything was sold out. You know, if you didn't have a room, you slept in your car on the street. But the cultures of a Mike Tyson fight were the black culture. Certainly, they kind of saw his persona as their own.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the high rollers and the people that would come in to see a Mike Tyson fight, and they'd spend $2,000 for a couple seats. And what occurred after that bite is that the audience went so nuts that, as the story goes, it was gunshots. But the hotel came back and said it wasn't gunshots. It was the uncorking of champagne bottles, that loud pop, which scared everybody.
Okay. See, to me, I guess in a situation where you have such chaos starting to ensue, I can understand why, champagne bottle corks would kind of sound like.
It made a lot of sense, even though I'm not sure that was true or not.
Right.
But for myself as a doorman, it was one of those nights where getting tipped a few dollars, it's kind of like supply and demand. If there's no rides to be had because the city is gridlocked and the hotel is overbooked, we were expecting our biggest tip night that were Mike Tyson fights.
Sure.
So a few dollars went to $100 bill or even a $250 chip, even $1,000 chip to get them a limo to get them out of there. But it began as a rumble, and we're waiting for the fight to end, and it sounded like a plane or a jet was coming overhead. And what it really was was, I don't know how many thousands and thousands of people were rushing through the casino, knocking the tables over,
Right.
grabbing chips. It was total chaos. And when they hit the doors where we were in the Porta Cachera, it was a tsunami.
Jeez.
The hotel shut down. SWAT shows up. A lot of people are laying on the ground. They're picking up the tables. Here comes housekeeping, cleaning everything up. There was a police ribbon around the MGM hotel, and nobody knew.
Jeez.
Nobody knew except the people that were there. And within 4 hours, they opened their doors again.
Wow.
Back to normal business after all of that. Didn't hit the news. I called my parents to say I'm okay. They said, "What are you talking about? We're going back to sleep."
Right.
It was stunning how the hotels really do control a lot of the news.
I'm gonna hold you right there. We just got a call that has come in. I'm gonna bring this caller in the line on the line. I know who it is, but I'm gonna let this individual introduce themselves. So, caller, please let us know your name and where are you calling from, please.
Hello?
Hello. Who name and where you're calling from, please?
It's Kimberly Marsh.
Kimberly Marsh,
Ricky Cash.
as in Ricky Cash's
Yes.
wife. Is that right?
Right, yes. Calling from South Carolina.
South Carolina. How you doing, Miss Kimberly? Well, you remember Jay Rankin, of course, yes?
Oh, yes, of course.
Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So we flashed the Vegas Unwrapped 2.0, which is my normal opening, because I know Jay would appreciate and did appreciate seeing Ricky in those pictures. And then, did you see us flash the picture of Ricky and I when we first met, Jay?
Not the last one. No.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I saw the one on Facebook that you posted.
Yep, that's the same one. Can you put that back up, the picture of the three of us, if you can? Yeah. We're just getting a little feedback on our end, so I apologize if there's a little delay in our communication. We just put the picture back up there, Kimberly.
Uh-huh.
So thought you'd appreciate that little nod to Ricky. So what's going on?
Nothing, just keeping myself occupied with the grandkids, and the littlest one, Braylon, is becoming a little softball star.
Yep, I did see that.
Yes, and Kyrie's getting in Nebraska with her paternal grandparents.
Right.
Doing her horse thing. She's getting ready for training to compete in 4-H at the fair in July.
Well, I'm certainly following all that on Facebook. Do you have you have a question or a comment that you'd like to share with Jay at this point?
Jay, I miss all of you guys and it brings back the memories of Richard and how wonderful the three of you were together. And I'm sure he's up there now smiling down on us.
Can I say something real quick about
Yes,
Rick?
please. John, you can take that picture down. Go ahead, Jay.
One of the things that I loved about him, I came from, my first real exposure to Vegas was with my biological dad, who happened to be a gambler. And he introduced me to a lot of the mobsters in those days. And so my history of Las Vegas, certainly living there for 11 years and meeting people like Aaron. But Ricky seemed to have a connection with me about the past, the history of Las Vegas, and how it affected me, and how I viewed Las Vegas as almost like a time warp from my experience in my life. And Ricky was right there with me. There was this almost like this chemical reaction between the two of us.
You sure it wasn't gas?
He was a pretty amazing guy, very perceptive. Really miss him.
You sure it wasn't gas, that chemical reaction? Because I know Ricky pretty well. Could have been gas, you know.
Listen, I used to sniff cocaine. I used to sniff propane from the cabs
Wow.
mixed with all the cigar smoke and people that were smoking joints. So I may not be real clear-headed either.
Well, he changed my perception of Vegas too. I had never been out there until I moved there in '94, and to me, I thought, okay, it's hookers, drinking, and casinos. That was it.
Well, that's every Saturday night. I mean, what's the problem with that? All right, Kimberly, Kimberly, I got to let you go because we're getting a lot of feedback on the call on our end.
Yes.
But I'm glad you took a few minutes to call in. We love you, and we'll talk along the way. And I'm glad you called in to chat with Jay a little bit and hear a little perspective of Ricky from Jay.
Be well, Kimberly.
Thank you. Love you guys.
All right, thank you, Kimberly. One thing you may not remember about Ricky, Jay, is that he's loved history. He taught history when he was an educator.
That's right. I did.
So loving and knowing and understanding and appreciating the history of Las Vegas was literally, like you said, right up his alley. And I mean, you guys, I remember that night specifically, I'm sitting there, it was the three of us for dinner, and Ricky and Jay, they were just talking about old time Vegas. And I just sat back and I was listening. I'm an absorber when it comes to storytelling because I love hearing the stories. And the two of them, it's like the two of them could have written a book just about stories. Now, with you as a performer around town, you too could probably share some Vegas stories that you've experienced. Have you met any mobsters in town? Or not that they're in town anymore, let me paraphrase that.
Right.
But those who, from that mindset, I'm sure you have.
Yes.
Anybody want a name?
No.
No.
Smart girl.
That's right. Well, I'm sure I'm pretty sure we're on the same page with one of them, and I'll say it's Frankie Citro. Does that name ring a bell to you, Jay? Frankie Citro?
Possibly. I don't remember it. I knew a number of those guys.
Right.
When they were starting to actually get some work.
Right.
Because there was a bit of a demand from people that they wanted to know about the mob.
Right.
If you recall, I'm trying to think, was it the Stratosphere that had the round table with all the mobsters sitting there and they were answering audience's question? And and then of course the museum opened but in those days I think, and I come from the Jan Jones days. I don't know if you remember her. And
The mayor.
she was the mayor for 2 terms, in those days. And the mob was kind of waning, and they were now so ingrained in the history of Vegas that they were actually becoming somewhat performers.
Right.
All in the wall gangs being performers in Vegas.
Right.
So it was an interesting turn of events and that whole history. And by the way, I miss jazz in Vegas a lot.
You miss what, Vegas?
Jazz.
I'm going to turn it over to Sandy because one of her fortes right now is that she performs jazz.
Yeah, I know. I heard that. And I remember the Desert Inn, which is now the Venetian. You walked in there and there was a trio or a quartet that was playing jazz in the lounge. Same with the old Aladdin.
Yep.
And those were the days.
That's when lounge acts meant something, right? A lot of hotels always had those little side lounges, the little hole in the wall, dare I say, corner of the floor, right?
Yeah, from what I understand, it used to be 24 hours of entertainment, and it's definitely not that anymore. It's certainly not what it used to be. Unfortunately, I didn't get to experience that, but definitely jazz has made a bit more of a comeback. Especially with Brian Newman at Park MGM.
Yep.
He works with Lady Gaga for her jazz show, and he does his own jazz show after dark, and it's fantastic. Yeah, has a lot of guests that come on the show, and it's the one late night thing. It's very cool.
Interestingly, my son became a saxophone player. He's now 20, but in middle school and high school.
He's 20 now?
Yeah, he got so good that his school was one of the 15 high schools selected by Wynton Marsalis to go to jazz at Lincoln Center for the and during his lessons, he'd come to me and go, "Oh, I'm trying to think of her name, Dad. Was her name Ella Fitzgerald? Have you ever heard of her?" And
Oh,
he kept doing that over and over, Charlie Parker and John Coltrane. And so I got to re-experience all of that music.
It's you mentioned well, first of all, Frank Citro, and I could say this because I've interviewed him in the past. Our state has that black book of people who are thrown out of casinos that can't walk back in, right? You remember that?
Sure.
So Frankie Citro was still number 37 in that book. Let me put it that way. He's a great storyteller. And he's also, he comes the typical OG kind of guy, right?
Sure.
He's a fun interview. He did some spots for us in the past. But when you talk about his experiences, boy, it was one of the rare shows where when I have a guest on and I just sat back and I just listened like the audience would, because the way he would just share his experience. Before we go to break, I want to share one more story. Then when we come back, we'll talk about the book and you can share some of the other projects if you'd like to. But Ricky and I had an opportunity. We called it the Mob Sit Down. And we're at a Green Valley Ranch, courtesy of Craig Vincent. If you guys remember the movie Casino, he played the cowboy. And he helped us put together an interview with the following individuals: Frank Culata, Henry Hill, Denny Griffin was part of that. Dennis Arnaldi, the guy who arrested Frank Culata.
Yeah.
Anthony DiDonato from the New York crime families. Okay.
Sure.
And then
Wow.
Okay. So this is typical Ricky. And then we're going to go to break on this. Do you remember the story? So we're sitting with these guys, right? And so as you were alluding to, back in the 70s, the mobsters ran the city, and then the changes to the more family environment keeps going back and forth. Whether people believe that the mob is still involved in casinos today in Vegas is up for debate. So Ricky, God bless his soul, looks at Henry Hill, of all people, and asks the following question to Henry Hill. So Henry, tell me, is the mob still involved in Las Vegas? Now, keep in mind, Henry, and you might know this, he loved his drinks, so he wasn't exactly going to blow a zero on the breathalyzer. He takes a deep breath, and he looks at Ricky and deadpans, and he says, Ricky, are you a country bumpkin? Of course the mob is still. From that point forward, I kept calling Ricky Country Bumpkin. That's it. And when he did that, I took my microphone. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day, because there's nothing else I could have done to top that at that particular moment. But that's typical Ricky, and that's the way he was. But all right, we're going to step aside for a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do more with Jay and Sandy. And Jay, hopefully we'll talk about maybe some of the upcoming projects, what's been going on currently. But folks, seriously, he's going to also tell us how people can get his book. If you haven't done so, you better do it. Thank you for watching Iron's Hour. We'll be right back.
Anxiety, depression, PTSD, ADHD, pain, inflammation, dealing with mental or physical health issues, or know someone who is? Relax, refresh, recover, revive. Natural health alternatives using hemp-derived CBD and other cannabinoids found in hemp are increasingly becoming more effective in managing various symptoms that affect your body, state of mind, and daily life. Planet Harvest Health's mission is to help those looking for natural, new, and better solutions for a healthier way of life, specializing in small batch, handcrafted alternatives, providing higher quality and a cost-effective product. Go to planetharvesthealth.com for more information and education on how we can help you.
This is the story of one man's incredible journey from 350 to 200-pound weight loss and his mission to help and inspire others. Aaron Phillips. People are praising Aaron's new book with 5-star reviews. Aaron's various humorous and wildly entertaining stories portray his rise as a sports announcer, his encounters with exotic and irregular entertainers on the Las Vegas Strip through his long-running Vegas Unwrapped radio show, and his contagious and positive style of pursuing success. Call now or visit our website or Amazon now to get your copy of Let My Voice Speak to You, stories from a Hall of Fame radio personality. Order now. All
right, welcome back to Aaron's Hour. I am holding down the fort with the beautiful Sandy Knight sitting here with me in studio, my special co-host today. And that other face you see on the screen is my longtime friend and author from Under the Neon Sky, a Las Vegas doorman story, Mr. Jay Rankin. Thank you guys for joining me today.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for having me.
You just floored me by saying that your son is 20.
Yeah.
Because I think when you and I first met, if we did the math, he was about 7, 8 years old, right? I mean, cute as a button, by the way. I don't know. Is he dating yet, or does he have a girlfriend that you have to like?
Oh God, he's got everything. He's got a girlfriend. He's got great friends. He's a happy kid. He can't wait to go to Vegas for his 21st birthday, of course. And
Well, let me know when he's coming so I can keep a distant eye on him for you.
We'll get him on the show.
I'll bring him on the show. There you go. Talk about you.
these guys are going to pollute my son.
Only with clean air.
Yeah, I hope so. Exactly. He has to bring his girlfriend, so there you go. Otherwise, it could get ugly.
Would that be his first time? It wouldn't be his first time coming to Vegas, would it?
I actually took him to Vegas a couple times when he was a little boy.
Yeah, but that didn't count. He couldn't do anything.
No, he hasn't been there. You know, he wants to go where he can sit at a bar and have a drink.
Gotcha.
He's not a drinker, but he wants that experience.
Right on.
And it's I think in some ways it's the same experience adults have. That Vegas is one of the very few times in your life that you can do things or at least feel a certain way
Right.
about yourself and your environment that you can't do at home.
Right on.
It presents this feeling of freedom and anything is possible. I mean, where else do you go for that?
Yeah.
So
Certainly not too many places like Vegas where you can come here and try your chops at something and
Yeah.
good, bad, or indifferent, whatever it is.
or being treated like a king.
Yeah, absolutely.
And nobody cares who you are.
That's right. Well, some people can hide in plain sight, but there are others that can't, no matter what. But it's interesting, as we talked about the story at the beginning, Mike Tyson now is a resident of Las Vegas.
Sure.
So he's kind of come full circle from that night. Now he's actually living here. So I want to kind of jump the shark a little bit, because over the many years that we've been friends and how Ricky and I love the story and literally talk about it all. You don't know how many times I actually talk about the book and you during a show, or it brings back something. But one of the things when you wrote the book, one of the goals you wanted to do was get this out in some other form of media to share the story of what it was like at the time. We're talking TV or movie, whatever it was. And when I spoke to you last time, shortly after Ricky passed, the script was kind of written. You were kind of progressing, and so things are really starting. Finally, people are picking up the book, right?
Oh yeah, the book really never stopped selling. The book to me at the time was more of a view of Las Vegas from the other side of the fence.
Mm-hmm.
It really was an observation and how I interpreted everything that I saw, because it was a brand new experience for me.
Right.
And I saw the creativity in that. I saw how Las Vegas adapted to whether it was Cinco de Mayo or the Chinese New Year, or, like I said before, some of the other things that completely changed the culture of the city. And I'd never seen that before. I mean, even the MGM could go from a ice rink for the ice capades,
right,
to a Phil Collins concert
mm-hmm.
in just a day and a half. And I had never seen anything like that before. I'd never seen restaurants that changed their menus so quickly, or entertainers that changed. So the whole town would take all of these left and right turns, and it was pretty remarkable the first year for me to adapt to different cultures. And then I started to notice other things about how some people, like I said earlier, they had boundaries in their lives until they came to Vegas, and then they would step over those boundaries and drink and gamble and party and do all the things that they would never do at home. And I started seeing the results of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to take notes. I started to write all this stuff down because to me, I felt like I was kind of in the middle of all of these things. And the mantra of being nice to everybody, no matter what, was difficult because a lot of people that I experienced were drunk or hadn't slept or were fighting with their husbands or wives. And most people were having a great time. They
Right.
just loved it. But a lot of people got overwhelmed. And so I had to learn how to deal with that. So I started, um, I think any author looks back at a work that they did and they go, gee whiz, I wish I could write that again. I don't like it anymore. But I would change it. I was a little too whiny and I was this and it was that. But it was an interesting story because it had to do with somebody that was working for a hotel and observing everyone else. And I got a lot of attention from it.
Well, I was going to say, you had a bird's eye view that few people can ever have. And like you said, observation was the key because the amount of people you would just see in a one shift of yours, people coming out, in and out, and behaviors and people from all cultures. That's the perfect bird's eye seat to see really what the fabric of a city can be like.
Oh, absolutely. And, Vegas is really built on being nice because you have to respect people
Right.
because you are going to get people from South America, from ghetto areas, from Beverly Hills areas,
Mm-hmm.
from Canada, from Europe, uh, and everybody perceives and they've got their own way of of doing and saying things. And one of the things I loved about Las Vegas is that it adapted to that. It was a town that could just open their arms no matter what your religion or color or politics. Everybody's welcomed here. And I still see it that way. And I almost see it by today's standards as one of the few places that will open their arms to anybody that comes in there and offer you the moon.
It's a melting pot city.
It is a melting pot city, and I don't think people, really see it that way, but it's true. It is.
Absolutely. A
And,
lot like a
and
cruise, which you'll experience.
I mean, it's changed a lot,
Right.
big time, only because certain populations have waned and new populations like college kids,
Mm-hmm.
Gen Zs,
Right.
have come in, and that changes the demand, the culture. Hence the nightclubs
Right.
and you know,
Well, 40 million people a year can't be wrong. That's the way I look at it.
Doing something right.
And I want to remind them all that Las Vegas was not built on winners, by the way, and we appreciate you coming and helping our city keep our taxes down. No, don't tell anybody. Right? So, Jay, before we only have a couple of minutes left before we'll say goodbye. What's the future of the book in terms of bringing it to light in other formats?
Well, some guys came to me, some writers that did some big shows in their career, and had read the book and said, "This is a show. We have to do this." Now, understand that from a script to actually screen, I don't know what the average is, but it's probably somewhere around 15 years. So, unless you know somebody or are well connected, um, it takes a long time from
Sure.
inception to actually selling it.
Right.
The key is don't give up. So we wrote this thing. We had to make a script out of a book, and it wasn't easy. And we wrote it, maybe 15 to 20 times, and finally got the pilot done. And we've come across a lot of people that were interested, and some helped a lot, and some didn't. But we finally found a new producer who seems to be extremely interested in it, with a lot of connections to, the various streaming places like Netflix.
Right.
And when you look at a movie or a series and you see this list of all these names that were producers or co-producers or executive producers, these
Right.
were all links on the chain that got that show on screen. So that's where we're at. It's a
Okay.
great show. A lot of it, I hear the voices in my head because some of the characters are people I actually worked with.
Right.
And I'm crossing my fingers. Right now, the working title is Neon Sky.
Right.
And we're hoping to sell this project, and I'll certainly call you. You'll be my first call.
I'll be able to give the scoop and breaking news. Well, you know that we've been in your corner since day one, hoping and
You're the
putting you
best, man.
forward.
I mean, I just wish you nothing but good things.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Real quickly, where can people get the book?
Amazon.
Okay.
Go to Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It doesn't matter. You can download it, or you can buy the book itself. And there you have it. It's easy to get.
Certainly do it. I want to encourage anybody that's watching or anybody that's not watching that is going to catch it on replay later. Definitely go out, purchase the book, get it downloaded. You will be mesmerized by the story and information that Jay shares. And I, for one, I can't wait for it to be on another screen, whether it's a TV screen, movie screen, or whatever it is, because then I can remember and I could say, I remember when Jay was just an author. And then he's a big producer now with his life on screen. Jay, my friend, thank you so much. We're going to do this again because I know there's a lot more we can do. Say hi to your son for us. I love
you. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you.
Okay, be well, you guys. Take care.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate you. Jay Rankin, author of Under the Neon Sky. And listen, we could fit on the top of a pinhead what he just spent today. I have goosebumps just thinking about it because his book goes into a lot more depth about the characters and people around him. And it's kind of stuff where it's not my thing to want to bring out. It would be something if he'd want to bring out. So in the business, we call that a little bit of a tease. So if you want to learn more about it, you really do need to pick up the book. And it's a book that once you start reading, especially if you like the history of Vegas, you won't put it down. That's going to be
next on my list to read.
You won't put it down. All right. Now, before we go, we have 10 minutes before our next break. Now we get to focus on Sandy. Sandy, I'm so glad. And thank you for being my guest today in studio.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We had a lot of fun together and I look forward to the same today. So for a lot of my audience, many people here, because a huge percentage of my audience is here in town. I'm going to dare say they obviously know who you are and has probably seen you perform. But there's also a vast part of my audience that's not in town, that is not as familiar with you. You came from Sacramento. Mm-hmm. You're here 7-8 years now that the time is clicking. Primarily did a lot of country music at some point, right?
Yes. That's how I started I started in music actually on the business side. I was a booking agent, entertainment director back in the Sacramento area and got an opportunity to be the lead singer of a band, and everything kind of snowballed from there, leading me to be in Vegas, basically.
Now, you also do a little bit of a tribute artist thing to a rather known singer.
Yes. Back in 2019, I was scouted to be a Shania Twain tribute in a show called Vegas Gone Country, which was at Planet Hollywood.
Yeah, I remember that show.
And that was Vegas is so unique. When we were just talking about that. I can tell you that in my experience in the short 7 years I've been here, that it has stretched me and challenged me. And
well, isn't that what every performer would want, though?
Absolutely. No, I couldn't. At this point, I can't imagine myself in any other town.
It's funny. And I think everybody should say this to themselves, if nothing else. We reach a point of success where we know we're really good at what we do. And then not that we get into routine or rut, but sometimes we need something new to challenge us.
Yes.
And in your case, coming here and all the different things that you've been doing certainly sounds like it's done that for you.
Absolutely. Going from, country rock band to Shania Twain tribute to now doing jazz. It's stuff I could have never even imagined.
So I love the name of the country group, Whiskey Maiden. I was going to call you Country Maven in my promo post, but I said, wait a minute, I got Maven in there somewhere, but Country Maiden is a great name. How long did you sing for them?
We had the band for about 6 years.
Okay.
We were on the road. And Whiskey Maiden came from, obviously Iron Maiden is the name of a very famous rock band. So we were a country rock band.
Right.
I also drink whiskey. So it was kind of the perfect.
It's a match made in heaven, wasn't it?
So we kind of put those two words together and it created the country rock band.
Right on. Let me just share with the audience some of the other places that you performed here since coming here.
Sure.
Currently, you're performing in numerous venues here: La Casa Cigar Lounge, Dolce Chianti, Bella Vita, a lot of Italian places. Prosecco, Favorite Bistro at the Link, the Link Promenade, the Sterling Club, Legacy Club, and many more. But you also have your own business.
Yes.
Production manager for musical comedian Sarah Hester Ross. But talk about the company, because this, even for me, this is new since we last met. So talk about what you have in that.
So again, like I said, I started on the business side, went into the performance side. So I have a bit of I wouldn't say that I know everything by any means.
Sure.
We're all learning as we go.
Absolutely.
But I certainly have a bit of experience from both ends. And, just being a performer myself, there's a lot of content and a lot of things that aren't seen by the audience. The audience sees the performance. They see what the final product is. And my goal was to help artists behind the scenes and maybe capture some content for them for their social media or whatever they might want to use it for, of those moments that lead up to what the audience sees.
Right.
I started a media company recently, and I've worked with numerous companies and artists to help them with some content.
So it's all about
creation.
content. You just took the word content creation,
yeah, and
right?
graphic design. If they need, a poster made or a graphic made for some kind of event, I do that as well.
Okay.
I just kind of I have 31 jobs. I mean,
like Ben and Jerry, 31 flavors. I got 31 jobs.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
It's fun. It keeps it exciting. And I love working with, most of these people are already my friends. So it's great to get paid to work with my friends.
That's like getting paid to play baseball. Absolutely. But you know what though? But you have that experience though on both sides of the microphone for all intents and purposes. As starting out someone behind, then you've been performing. So as a performer, you kind of have a sense of what people may need to help, because it's content creation really all for the purposes of promoting a brand or a person or individual.
Correct.
So you have that experience and exposure from both sides, being a performer and starting out on the other side. I think it's a perfect marriage, and taking advantage of that experience just seems so logical.
Yeah.
How can people get more information about that? How can they reach you about that side? Because obviously, there's a lot of entertainers in this town. Many of them have been on the show, but how can they reach you about that?
About the
about the business.
So,
get the business out there.
I
Unless you're too busy for business. I mean, if you're overbooked,
I mean, I'm never too busy to take on more things. I'm trying to have 32 jobs.
There you go.
So
well, you may have one when you come back. You may get one when you come back from vacation, or at least a 30-second new client. Anyway,
I named the company Secret Squirrel Media.
Okay.
People have always called me Sandy Squirrel as kind of a joke, and the whole Secret Squirrel thing is kind of more like me getting the candid, moments and stuff, the behind the scenes stuff. So it's like, as if like, I'm not really there. I'm kind of a fly on the wall, but I'm getting those moments. And,
is it videos, pictures?
All of it. So for example, if someone's got like a step and repeat and they have a photographer taking their photos, I would be there kind of on the side, getting the initial reactions of people getting to meet these people, like the and like the big hugs and like those candid moments.
The starstruck.
To me, I that's what I like to specialize in, is getting those candid moments that not everybody captures or always sees.
Right on. Well, there you go. I love it, because I think a lot of people, maybe it's because of the reality shows, and we know many of the reality shows are scripted stuff, but there's still behind the scenes looks at things I think really people love to see.
Yeah.
And I love that idea of capturing those moments in time for people is great. Now, having been on a show with me in the past, I like to throw curveball questions out at people to catch them off guard.
I'm scared.
Don't be scared. You've been in the pool before. So
I know. I thought I was.
No. Come on now, Sandy. You would not escape me for that. And I'm going to throw a couple at you before we go to our break. And so here's my first question. What's your favorite action movie?
Ooh.
And I know you're busy. You probably don't have a whole lot of time to watch movies.
I get made fun of all the time because everyone's like, "Oh, have you seen that show on the? Haven't seen this movie?" And I'm like, "You think I sit still in front of a television?" It's very rare. Oh gosh. You know what I'm going to say? Beverly Hills Ninja. That's what I'm going to say. I am going to roll with that one.
Beverly Hills Ninja.
That's what came to me.
That's okay.
Anything with Jackie Chan also. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Rush Hour.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Jackie
Okay.
Chan. These are movies I obviously saw when I was younger and
Sure, that's
had
okay.
the time.
But they still stick with you.
They do.
So that's
I
okay.
love comedy, and I love, and they tie in the action and comedy
Right.
together. I think it's great.
One of the first movies I ever saw as a kid was Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh yeah.
And I still love that today. And when Tobel passed away a couple of weeks ago, we did a little acknowledgement to him. All right, another question for you. What's your favorite? John, sit down. Are you okay over there? You need medication? There's ointment for that, What's your favorite smell?
Coconut.
Okay. What's your least favorite smell?
Anything that has to do with olives.
Okay.
Like when I was bartending and I would have to make a dirty martini with blue cheese. Oh gosh, no. It's just terrible.
If you can win an Olympic sport, win an Olympic medal for any sport, real or fake, what would it be?
Wow. Real or fake?
Mm-hmm. Even if you made up an event that if it was an Olympic event that you could win a medal at.
Snacking.
Snacking. What's your favorite snack?
Oh gosh. Snacks.
So what?
Snacks,
chocolate
my favorite
chips?
snack.
I mean, chocolate chips, cake.
I'm a more savory person.
Okay.
So I'm a more like chip, popcorn type person.
Gotcha.
I'm not a sweets person.
Okay. What's your favorite chip?
Oh, recently I discovered at Costco, they have these chips made out of chicken breast.
Oh.
So it's not,
It's not
as
like
much as I love potatoes, we all know that.
That's right.
But yeah, it's actual, and they're great.
Okay, I'll have to look
Very
those up.
flavorful, lots of protein in
Chris,
them.
when you want to buy them, you have to come home with like 12 cases from Costco. But anyway.
And I will eat them all.
All right. We come back more with Sandy. We're going to step aside for our final break of the show. And of course, I got some more of these crazy questions. We'll talk about what she's doing on now in town. She's got an upcoming gigs or so. I know what she's doing. We'll talk about cruises in a few minutes. We'll be back right after this.
Are you looking for someone to provide training to your staff? Do you need a motivational speaker about how to handle change? Do you have an upcoming event that needs an MC to handle those responsibilities? Well, look no further than longtime Las Vegas radio personality Aaron Phillips. I am local to Las Vegas and I can blend my talents with any audience. For more information, please visit www.aaronphillipsvoice.com and book me for your next event or training needs.
I'm Matt. I'm Chief.
And I'm Aaron. And together we are
Thoughts Count Anywhere.
Join us every Saturday from 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Right here on WWDBTV Network and all the shows that are available for you to watch. And why is that?
Because the Chief says so.
John Stiles here, host of Doing It with Stiles here on WWDB-TV. If you're a CBD oil user and a coffee drinker, I got some great news for you. I found this hemp-infused coffee from Planet Harvest Health. That's planetharvesthealth.com. Now, this happens to be the Swiss chocolate almond, which I'm kind of fond of. I used to take the CBD oil, put a couple drops under my tongue, and I didn't really like the taste of it that great. So I started dropping it in my coffee in the morning. So figured that would kind of kill it. Well, it kind of screws up the taste of the coffee. When I found this, it's awesome. It's great tasting coffee. You brew it just like your regular coffee, and you get all the benefits of the hemp. So check it out on planetharvesthealth.com. They got a lot of other great products. They've got spices, they've got oils, they've got creams. So check them out on planetharvesthealth.com. Thank you. And remember, like Planet Harvest Health, if you're going to do it with Stiles.
Hey, welcome back to Aaron's Hour, coming to you live from the WWDB-TV studios in the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada. Special shout out to Jay Rankin for joining us in the first part of the show, and now continue our fun here with Miss Sandy Knights. I almost said Phillips again purposely. When we did the interview together last time, we came back from a break. I don't even know why. My last name is Phillips. I know she's Sandy Knights, but I turned around and I said, now our special guest is Sandy Phillips, and I just kept going, and everybody started laughing. I'm like, why is everybody laughing? They said, well, it seems like you have a wife over there in the corner. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, you introduced. I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. So, but anyway, you took that day. You took everything in stride, because not all of our guests at that time, the Snapchat fun,
Oh, I love that.
Enjoyed it. But you played into every one of them. That was one of my favorite shows where we had a guest that fell right into, especially the potato, which was a potato.
I made a really good potato. It was a potato and it was in the ground. And I don't know. I was singing something.
Oh my goodness. It was great. But anyway, welcome back. So, first of all, do you have a website where people can find out about your gigs, your stuff? Let's give some contact info.
sandynights.com. That's it.
KNIGHTS, by the way.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple, right. KISS. Keep it simple, silly. Also, you're on Facebook, though.
Yep.
Right? If you listen, just remember like the Vegas Knights, KNIGHTS, or the Dark Knights, because I'm a Batman guy, even though there's one Dark Knight, anyway, I digress. Okay, so you do have a regular gig that people can see you on a regular basis. Talk about that.
Yep. My consistent gig every Wednesday is at La Casa Cigar Lounge.
Okay.
The weather has not been great. So the last few months I've had to sing inside, which, I don't mind some cigar smoke, but swimming in it while trying to sing has not been great.
Your cleaning bill must have been outrageous with the smell of, right?
I'm telling you, it doesn't go away. But
not enough Febreze in the world, right?
Now the weather's starting to get nicer. So people that don't particularly like cigar smoke can still come and enjoy it. So I'll be on the patio. And if I'm out of town, I always have a good friend of mine covering for me. It's usually Kelly Vaughn or Hannah Brady, who are both fantastic and lovely. And so it's a great place to hang out. Tivoli Village is so beautiful. It's great cocktails, great ambience. And like I said, who doesn't want to sit outside on a beautiful Vegas night?
And what time do you perform?
I'm there 8:30 to 11:30.
Okay. And I'm familiar with Tivoli. It's like a couple miles from my house, but what part of Tivoli is it? Is it where Brio is, or
where the El Dorado Cantina is?
Oh, okay.
It's basically just 2 doors down from
Gotcha.
To the right.
Perfect. It is a great location, especially when the weather gets better to hang out there. There's many restaurants and places that do that. So it is a great place. That's Wednesdays from 8:30 to 11,
11:30, yeah. 8:30 to 11:30.
8:30 to 11:30, 3 hours. This way you won't turn into a pumpkin before midnight when you have to go home.
Yes.
They've taken that into account. So that's that. Okay, now I teased before we went on break. You're going on your first cruise coming up soon. We were talking about that before the show.
I've never been on a cruise, and I really wanted to. A lot of people have told me, like, you should entertain on cruises. And I'm saying, yes, I would love to do that at some point. But I really wanted to go out and experience a cruise as a guest first and just kind of I've never been on one. And so I don't want to go for the first time and then be working. I would like to enjoy some drinks and, whiskey and snacks and, not worry about having
chicken snacks on. You can take your own
chicken chips.
Chicken chips. Oh, I like that.
Chicken chips.
Try to say that 10 times fast.
Chicken chips.
So, and you're going 10 days, you're going which way? You're going on the East Coast, you said, right? Down that side?
Leaving out of Orlando, Florida, going to Bahamas, Jamaica.
Are you going on your own? Your friends going with you?
Got a friend going with me. Yes, I'm very excited.
Good. So, and it's what, a 10-day cruise?
Yes.
You said? So I just did my first cruise ever, my wife and I, 5 days. We went down to Cabo. It is a great experience. But here's the thing that people ask me right away. Did you have enough to do on the cruise? Now, my first 2 days out at sea, weather was horrible. Foggy, rainy, cold. Now, I went in March, so a couple of weeks ago. So when you're inside, first of all, there's a plentiful of activity. I've been using plethora. I've been told I have to change the word up. Plenty of activities. Almost like every 30 minutes, there's something going on.
Right.
Okay. You're not going to have a wanting, boy, I wish I could do this and sit in your cabin because there's nothing going on. But the casino meant nothing to my wife and I when we were out at sea. Because I don't need it, right?
We live in Vegas.
Now, did I drop a $20 bill one night? Yes. And that's literally all I spent, just because now I can say I gambled on the cruise ship. Thank you, Carnival, by the way. Cheap plug, because we had a great time. So don't worry about there not being stuff to do. There'll be plenty of stuff to do. Do you have like a particular list of things that you, besides enjoying whiskey and your chicken chips, are there things specific? Now, what are the destinations? Are you taking excursions off the ship too, I presume? Or
yes.
Where's some of the excursions?
So obviously the Bahamas, Jamaica, all that. There's stops and all that. And I'm so lucky. I have a friend of mine that's been on so many cruises. So they planned all of it. Honestly, like I just have to show up, and that is. Can I tell you how happy I am? I'm so used to having to plan everything, and so I really don't know all that's
You
going to
don't know
happen.
everything.
I am just showing up,
Well,
and
good.
I am open to like all the experiences.
Do you know
and
where
I
your
know
room
that there's,
is? Do you,
I
like
have no
balcony?
idea.
Okay.
I have no idea.
I'm sure based on what it
Um,
sounds like, you're
when
not
I
going
say
to
I'm showing up, I mean that I'm literally
just-
just showing up.
Well, I have a
like
funny
this.
feeling you're not going to be in the cheese.
But I know that there's live entertainment.
Sure. Oh,
My
absolutely.
favorite thing to do, I don't get a lot of time off.
Right.
So this is a very big deal
Good
for
for
me.
you. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I was very adamant about taking
Right.
some time out for myself
Right.
this year. But even here in town, when I do have my maybe one night off a week,
Mhm.
my favorite thing to do is to go to my friends' shows and
Okay.
see them because gosh, Vegas is so unique in the fact that like there's just so much talent
Right,
here.
right.
And for me to just be a small part of it,
Mhm.
I'm really it's overwhelming in a good way. I'm
Right.
so grateful. And so I'm excited because I know that there's live entertainment on the cruise ship, and that to sit back and be an audience member
Right.
is just like
Right.
that's the way I fill my tank. When I perform, I'm emptying my tank, as I
Right.
say, pouring my heart out
Sure,
to people.
sure.
And then my way of kind of like filling that back up is to just sit in the audience
Yeah.
and absorb someone else's talent.
That's your recharge.
It totally is.
Absolutely. I
So
get
that is like, that is all I know.
Yeah, and that's okay. And
Yeah.
you will have a great time. Take
Yeah.
plenty of pictures. Well, again, my wife and I did not purchase the internet package. So talk about getting away from life. Until we got into Cabo, we had no internet connection. I couldn't check emails. I could take pictures on my phone.
Right.
Carnival has a great thing. They call it the hub, where you can upload pictures of your experience and all that fun stuff. You see
Nice.
everybody. That's great. We got to Cabo, and I said to my wife, I said, I know my phone's going to explode when it gets the internet with all the. I'm telling you, if I didn't clear 1,000 messages off of my emails, I didn't clear one.
Yeah.
But it was $18.75 a day per person for the internet connection.
Right.
And I was not about to spend an extra $200 for that. If my kids need me, God forbid, they'll figure out a way. My dad, my sister, but it was nice to unplug. It really was.
Unfortunately, I can't quite go that far.
Understood.
I can't miss emails and stuff from like,
Sure.
my agent and stuff like
No,
that.
absolutely.
But my plan, I really have been giving this some thought because I do want to unplug as much as I possibly can.
Sure.
I think that's also very important.
Absolutely.
I do have my Apple Watch.
Okay.
So I think what I'll do is wear that because then I won't. If I have my phone on me, I'll flip through it.
Right.
And that's
deadly.
It just happens. So I'm going to stay away from that. I will post about my adventures and stuff, but I'll have my watch just to like, if something important comes up, I can respond to it. I can look at it. But if not, I'm like, you know what? I don't need to have my phone in my hand.
I would suggest,
whole time.
quite frankly, don't even put the watch on. At least for a little bit each day.
Oh, sure.
If you're going to unplug.
Yes. But like take a couple hours a day and like,
you're not going to wear it at the pool.
Check it. Oh, no.
No, you're not going to wear it at the pool. My
Well,
wife
you
and I-
can be. You
well,
can now, but
yeah, I guess you can. But
I don't want the tan line.
that's I was just going to say, you don't want the tan line.
I'm going to come back very tan.
I mean, we went snorkeling. That was the first time ever. That was a bucket list item, and it was a lot of fun. But again, for us, it was like the day we got home, the Sunday after the cruise. That next night, we were automatically back in our regular routine that fast, and in a way, that's sad that it took less than 24 hours that you're back into that routine.
Yeah.
And I turned to my wife at the end of, I think we had dinner, and I turned to her. My phone was glued to my hand like hers was to her, and I said, "You know what I missed?" She says, "What's that?" I said, I wish right now I didn't have internet so that I can just take a break from it because we got back into this so fast. But like you, although I don't get the kind of emails like you would need to keep track of, maybe someday if I had an agent. But anyway, it's like for me putting it down, but I monitor Facebook like you probably monitor emails. And for me being disconnected from Facebook, staying on top of everything that is shared or newsfeed, that was hard for me.
Yeah.
Because I get my stories and things I talk about in potential guests through all of that. And it's like, okay, I don't have it. That's fine. Let's go have fun. So it does take a little bit of adjustment, but certainly that should be part of the unplugging. And I have a funny feeling your friends are not going to let you stay connected to your phone a whole lot. I have that feeling.
Yeah.
Just call me crazy.
Stop it.
So all right, a couple of questions before we start wrapping up. Sure. Back to my crazy, silly, goofy questions. What is your favorite? Well, I don't want to do that. We already know that. What's your favorite way of killing time when you're not working aside from staying on top of your social media?
Oh, going to my friend's shows. Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's I wouldn't say that's like, because I don't really have time to kill. It's just,
that's true.
If there were more hours in the day, I would have time to kill. But I also, when I have the time to relax, I do like to just kind of sit on the couch with my dog.
There you go.
She's getting older, and
Okay.
she's 15 now. My dog is a teenager. Isn't that weird? I'm that dog mom. I'm like, I have a teenager.
That's what, 105? Is that what it is in 15 times 7? 3, 5, carry. Yeah, it's 7, 1. Yeah, it's 105 years in people years. Wow.
And she's been with me.
Does she drink wine to stay alive like that? That's what humans do, right? You want to live long. All right. Question for you. What's the craziest thing you've ever done? Beyond Aaron Phillips, because he asked me these stupid questions.
I mean, I guess skydiving would be pretty crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
You've done that?
Well, you know what? What was worse than skydiving, which was surprising, was bungee jumping.
Oh, yeah.
I thought, oh gosh, I've been skydiving twice because once wasn't enough. We're talking about crazy. And then my friends, we were back in Sacramento, we were at the state fair, and there was a bungee jumping thing. And I was like, I've skydived. That's nothing. They're like,
what's bungee jumping?
And one of my friends was like, would you do that? And I was like, I mean, yeah. It was so much worse. Let me tell you, because you go up in this little cage and, and you can see the ground, and that big pillow thing goes.
It looks real small.
And then people start looking like ants, and you're like, oh, this is not good. This is not good.
Well, ponder this. A couple of weeks ago, and I don't remember where, there was somebody on a bungee that the cord snapped.
Oh, it's happened.
Thank God that person lived.
Oh, yeah. It's happened many times.
But think about this. When the inventor...
I was much younger when I did this, by the way.
That's right. Certain things we won't do after certain age limits.
No.
But think about whoever invented the bungee jump. Who was the first sucker that this person got to test out how far the rubber band should be? Guy goes...
Knoxville.
Right. Excellent. That's true. You can bring that up next week. But think about it. Person goes splat. The person raise it up a few more feet, John. We're not there yet. And, I mean,
6 more stories.
Exactly. All right, couple more, and I'll let you off the hook. A couple of these you answered for me last time, but that's okay. Number 1, Batman or Superman?
Batman.
All right, good answer. If a movie was made about you, who would you love to see star as you in the movie?
Rachel McAdams.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah? John loves that one. He doesn't stand up for much in the studio, but he loved that answer.
She's amazing.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
Last question. And this is one I know I asked you last time. I asked this of everybody. The day comes, you're standing at the pearly gates. The maitre d' is there, hoping to welcome you in, because you never know. What is it you want to hear from them before they let you in? Well, maybe I didn't ask this last time.
Wow, I know. We got deep really fast.
Yes, I did. I mean, obviously, I'm going to presume you're going north.
Well, let's hope.
Otherwise, it would make a really bad country song if you didn't.
Maybe I should write that. What would I want them to say to me before welcoming me in?
Well, you're at the gates. I'm presuming I've never been there, at least not that I know of. Person's going to be there. I mean, don't you want to hear something that is uplifting, almost like your epitaph or your
yeah.
What do you want to hear them say to you when you're there to go in?
You know what I want? I want them to say, "Hey, sing me a song."
There you go.
There's an opening in the choir.
There's an opening in the choir. That's
perfect.
Good too. Wow, John's got 2 good ones.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm hot today.
Woo! All right, I'm gonna end my show with a joke, as I've been doing. I only read them. Oh God, great! I only read them, so don't hold them against me. But it's a musical one. That's why I pulled it out specifically for you, because I think you'd appreciate this. The question is this: what kind of music do mummies listen to? And if you know it, John, don't answer it.
I'm not saying a word.
What kind of music do mummies listen to? Rap music.
Oh my.
Exactly. Don't consider that as entertainment, by the way. I read them as I pull them off the internet, folks. Anyway, listen, everybody, thank you for watching. Sandy, always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So good to see you. We had a lot of fun. And we're going to do this again when you come back from your trip, because I want to hear all about the cruise. That'll be the next show.
Oh, that'll be great.
We'll talk about the cruise.
Yeah.
I want pictures. That's what I want to see. All right. Thank you for watching, everybody. Stay tuned to my Facebook page so you know who my next week's guest is, because quite frankly, I don't know yet. So there you go. So when I know, you'll all know. Thank you for watching. As always, listen, if you're watching WrestleMania tonight and tomorrow, enjoy it. If not, just enjoy whatever you have going on. Don't get caught by any bad jokes like I just read. It is April Fool's Day. With that, be kind to everybody. Why is that? We're all we have. See you next time right here on Aaron's Hour with Aaron Phillips. Thank you for watching, everybody.